Okay class, so before this we have go through the frequency distribution. We also see the cumulative frequency distribution as well as the relative frequency distribution. So now we want to continue on how to graph our frequency distribution. So we will learn 4 types of graph, which is the histogram, the frequency polygon, cumulative frequency polygon, and also the stem and leaf display plot. Okay, so kita ada 4 jenis graphing yang kita boleh guna untuk kita graphkan our frequency distribution. So the first one we want to say the histogram. So previously in qualitative data we have learned about bar chart. Okay, histogram is quite similar with the bar chart. It just that in histogram we don't have gap between bars. Okay, so we see first what is histogram. So in histogram, a vertical bar graph of the class frequency. So histogram is actually the vertical ni maksudnya graph secara menegak. Okay, dalam bentuk bar ni macam petak macam ni. Okay, of the class frequency means that this bar represent the frequency of the class. Okay, x-axis represent the class boundaries of the data. So kita ada x and y axis. Macam biasa bila kita buat graph, we have 2 axis. This one is x axis and this one is y axis. So in histogram, x axis represent the class boundaries. So dekat bawah ni adalah class boundaries. Okay, class boundaries, jangan lupa class boundaries dengan class interval adalah benda yang berbeza. Alright, and the y axis represent the class frequency. So kita akan lukis bar dekat sini. Okay, so the y axis represent the frequency of each class. Okay, so this one is the class yang pertama. So ketinggian bar ini menunjukkan dia punya frekuensi lah. Alright. Along the x-axis, we display the class by labeling the class boundary which mark at equal interval. So kita akan tulis class boundary dekat sini dan interval, jarak di antara boundary ni mestilah sama. Okay, no space between bars in histogram. So that one is the difference between histogram and bar chart. Kalau bar chart, di antara bar kita ada gap. Tapi kalau histogram, we don't have bar, we don't have gaps between bars. So the bar ni rapat-rapat sebelah-sebelah. Okay, so let's see how can we construct a histogram. Okay, for this data. So now we have a quantitative data. Okay, kalau awak tengok, the data is about marks in percent for the class. Okay, the mark distribution scored by 44 students in statistic examination. Okay, so ini adalah data kita. Okay, so yang dibagi kita ni adalah marks. So marks ini dalam bentuk class interval. Okay, and you have been given the frequency of each class. So 2 plus with 4 is 6, plus with 8 is 14, plus 14 is 28, plus 10 is 38, plus 5 is 33. Okay, 28 plus 5 is 33, plus 38 plus 5 is 43, plus 1 is 44. So we have the total number of 44 students. Okay, now you need to remember that for you to construct a histogram, you need 2 informations. The first one is your class boundaries, and the second one is the frequency of each class. So let's see the first class here. You have 30 to 39. So 30 is called as your lower limit, and the 39 is your upper limit. And how to find the class boundary? You need to remember that the lower boundary is 0.5 before before lower limit. And the upper boundary is 0.5 after class upper limit. So you have your lower limit 30 here. So 0.5 before 30 is 29.5. And the upper boundary is 0.5 after the upper limit. So 39, 0.5 after 39 will be 39.5. Okay, and for the second class, you have the lower limit 40. So 0.5 before 40 will be 39.5. 0.5 after 49 will be 49.5. Okay, same goes to the next class. 0.5 before 50 will be 49.5, and 0.5 after 59 will be your 59.5. And then 0.5 before 60 will be 59.5. 0.5 after 69 will be 69.5. 0.5 after 70 will be 69.5. 0.5 after 79 will be 79.5. 0.5 before 80 will be 79.5. 0.5 after 89 will be 89.5. 0.5 before 90 will be 89.5. 0.5 after 99 will be 99.5. So the class frequency, just take from the table. So 2, 4, 8, 14, 10, 5, and 1. Okay, so now we already have our class boundaries. Okay, so we can start to construct our histogram because we already have our class boundaries and also the frequency of each class. Okay, so you see here, you have the graph paper, how to construct a histogram. Okay, if you see, our first lower boundary will be 29.5, which is it's not 0. So we need to put 29.5. Let's say I put it here. Okay, means that before 29.5 you need to put some what we call as a line here, okay, to represent that there is a number before that. Okay, means we are not starting from 0, we are starting from a 29.5. Okay, and then we will continue with the same interval. After 29.5 is 39.5. Then you have 39.5 to 49.5. Then you have 49.5 to 59.5. Then you have 59.5 to 69.5. And then you have 69.5 to 79.5. And then you have 79.5 to 89.5. And the last class is 89.5 to 79.5. Okay, so that is why we are using the class boundary, because class boundary connected all class together, because the upper boundary for the first class is the lower boundary for the next class. The upper boundary for this class is the lower boundary for the next class, so it's connected to each other. Okay, so now we are already labeled the class boundaries, okay, as a x-axis. So now we want to label the frequency. So you see the last frequency here, the biggest one is 14. Okay, so you can put any scale that is suitable. So let's say we put 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14. There is no formula for this. Is just suit the condition. Okay, kalau awak tengok dia sesuai macam mana, kalau awak tengok dia sesuai 55, selang dia 55 pun boleh, tak ada masalah. Alright, now is the time for us to construct our histogram. So the first thing you need to do is you need to do a horizontal line for the frequency of each class. Okay, so we start with the first class. So we have the first class, we have the frequency of 2. So 2 is here, so let's draw a horizontal line here. Okay, and then the next class, the frequency is 4. So 4 is here, so let's draw the horizontal line for this class. Okay, and then so the next frequency is 8. So 8 is here, so let's draw the horizontal line for the next class. Okay, and then we have the frequency 14 for the next class. So 14 is here, right? And then for the next class is 10. So 10 is somewhere, 10 is somewhere here. And then we have the frequency of 5. So 5 is here. Okay, you see, because this one is 4 and then here is 5. Okay, so 5 is here. And the last frequency will be 1. So 1 is somewhere here. Okay, so the horizontal line will represent the frequency of each class, and then we will draw the vertical line to get the bar for our histogram to connect all the class. Okay, so we'll draw the vertical line. Okay, and we will see there is no gap between bars for our histogram. So that is the difference between histograms and also the bar chart, right? So we draw the vertical line to connect each bar, and you can see that all bar has the same width, lebar yang sama. Semua bar mesti mempunyai lebar yang sama because we have the same class width. Okay, lebar kelas kita semuanya sama, so semua bar akan mempunyai lebar yang sama. Sorry, tersengit. Okay, so this is our histogram. Okay, so histogram need two information, which is the class boundaries and also the frequency of class boundaries. Frequency of each class. Okay, from histogram we actually can estimate the modal class. What is the modal class? Mode class. So mode ni adalah kelas yang mempunyai frekuensi yang paling tinggi. Okay, so kita obviously can see from the histogram mana kelas yang mempunyai frekuensi yang paling tinggi, which is this class. Okay, 59.5 to 69.5 because the bar is the highest one. Okay, bar yang paling tinggi dia menunjukkan frekuensi kelas paling tinggi, so kita tahu this one is the modal class. So what is actually the point that is the mode? Because kita ada interval daripada 59.5 sampai 69.5, tapi kita nak tahu apa nilai mode yang sebenarnya. Okay, macam mana kita nak tahu nilai mode yang sebenarnya? Actually, we can find it from the histogram. So how? The first step is to draw our histogram. So now we already drawn our histogram. Determine the bar representing the class with the highest frequency. So we already see this one is the class that has higher frequency because the bar is the highest one. Okay, and the step number 3, the height of the two bars on both sides of the modal class will be used as a guide to draw two lines. The mode estimate is the x value from the intersection of the line. Okay, so macam mana kita nak tahu mode value? Kita kena draw dua line. So kita dah determine the class yang mempunyai highest frequency. So macam mana kita nak draw two line? So awak ambil height untuk mode yang untuk kelas yang sebelum, awak sambungkan ke satu sisi, satu corner, and then you take the ketinggian bar yang selepas daripada mode class, awak sambungkan another sisi, buat X macam ni. Okay, and then what is the modal value? What is the mode value? The intersection point between these two lines. So you can see the intersection point is here. Okay, intersection point is here. Okay, so awak tarik intersection point ini ke bawah. Okay, so the point yang awak dapat dekat sini is actually the mode point. So kalau awak tengok dia 59.5, maksudnya satu petak ini mewakili 2.5 because the interval is 10. Okay, so 2.5, sini 5, sini 7.5 and then 10. Okay, so kalau sini 2.5, maksudnya kita ada 62. Okay, and then 64.5, and the mode may be 65 or 65 point something like that. Okay, so this is how we estimate the mode value from the histogram. Kita boleh cari the mode value from the histogram. You just need to be careful. Macam mana saya tahu satu kotak ni mewakili 2.5? Sebab kalau awak tengok, jarak bar ni adalah 10. 49.5 sampai 59.5 adalah 10 dan kita ada 4 kotak. So 10 bahagi 4 maksudnya 2.5, bermakna setiap kotak ini mewakili point 2.5. So kalau kita punya mode dekat sini, maksudnya 59.5 tambah dengan 5, 1, 2, so 5. So it becomes 64.5. Alright, and then kita ada sedikit point dekat sini, mungkin dalam 1, so 65.5 like that. So it become the mode value of the data. Okay, dan mode value ni adalah value yang mempunyai frekuensi yang paling tinggi. Okay, next kita nak tengok the frequency polygon. So just now we already seen about histogram. Now we want to see what is the frequency polygon. So apa dia frequency polygon? Frequency polygon can be obtained from histogram by joining the midpoints on the top of each bar or rectangle. So sebenarnya frequency polygon boleh dapat daripada histogram, di mana kita perlu join ataupun sambungkan midpoint on the top of each bar and ataupun rectangle. Maksudnya kita kena plot the midpoint for each class, and then kita sambungkan the midpoint, so that one is called as a frequency polygon. Okay, just that for frequency polygon we need one extra class at each end. Okay, so one extra class at each end should be added to ensure each tail touch the horizontal axis. So kita buat dulu. Okay, is either awak nak terus point, because kita tahu kita punya histogram ini mempunyai width yang sama. So directly dekat sini kita boleh tahu dekat mana dia punya midpoint. Of course lah dekat sini midpoint dia tengah-tengah. Okay, of course lah midpoint dia tengah-tengah dekat sini. Ataupun you can find the point. Okay, midpoint adalah lower class boundary plus with the upper class boundary bahagi dengan 2. So 29.5 plus with 39.5 you will get 69. 69 divided by 2 you will get 34.5. Okay, 34.5. Okay, so the first one is 34.5. So 34.5 will be here, because you have 2.5 is 5, 29 plus 5 is 34.5. Okay, midpoint dia dekat tengah-tengah ni. So sama je dekat semua kelas. Okay, sebenarnya daripada histogram we can directly see which one is the midpoint. Tapi awak boleh juga kira midpoint satu-satu. So macam mana nak kira midpoint? Lower boundary plus with the upper boundary divide by 2. So for the second class, lower boundary is 39.5 plus with 49.5. So you will have 89. So 89 divided by 2, you will have your midpoint as 44.5. Okay, so here you have 39.5. 44.5 is here. Okay, so kita boleh tengok direct daripada histogram, ataupun awak nak kira satu-satu midpoint dia, is up to you. Alright, so kita plot dulu dia punya midpoint dekat tengah-tengah sini. Jangan tak plot, you need to plot. I need to see the point. Okay, so midpoint dekat sini, and midpoint dekat sini, and midpoint dekat sini for each class. And then what we will do is we will connect all the point here. So daripada sini kita connect ke midpoint that class. Daripada sini kita connect to the midpoint for the next class. And then this one we connect to the midpoint for the next class. And here we connect to the midpoint next class here. And then here we connect to the next class midpoint here. And the last one we connect to the last midpoint. But then if you can see, your line here is hanging. Okay, dia tergantung. Kita nak the line touch the x-axis. So what we need to do is we need to add extra one class before and after. Kita kena tambah satu extra class sebelum dan selepas. So let's add one extra class before and after. So before, we have the class 1, 2, 3, 4 here, the first class extra. And after we need to tarik sedikit, and after will be somewhere here. 1, 2, 3, let's say this one. Okay, so how can we know the boundary of the class? So you need to know that the class width is the same for this case. Okay, so 29.5, 39.5 to 29.5 is minus 15. Therefore, you have here 29.5 minus 10 is 19.5. Okay, and 89.5 to 99.5 is plus 10. So 99.5 you plus with 10, you will get 109.5. So that one is the boundary. Okay, and then now what we need to do is we need to plot the midpoint. So the midpoint obviously will be here, and for this one the midpoint will be here. Okay, and then we connect the midpoint. So from here we connect with the point here, and from here we connect it with this one, and here is your frequency polygon. Ini yang apa yang kita panggil sebagai frequency polygon. Okay, just the connection of the midpoint for each class. It's just that you need to add one extra class before and after our class, because we want our line or our frequency polygon to touch the x-axis. Dia mesti touch x-axis. Therefore kita kena tambah satu extra class sebelum dan selepas. It's just that you connect the midpoint. Awak sambungkan midpoint for each histogram bars. So that one, the line here is called as a frequency polygon. Okay, so this one is the frequency polygon for our data. Alright.